Well, this video is probably going to stir up some controversy here. And controversy is useful sometimes. So I'm just gonna put it all out there. Okay. First off, everyone seems to have forgotten the message of this particular individual by the name of, oh yeah, we've all forgotten about that now, haven't we? He's in jail now. Jailed. No longer able to speak in any kind of forum whatsoever, basically. And do you have any idea who I'm talking about here? Yeah. Probably not, because, you know, time flies. Everything's forgotten. We just listen to 24-hour news cycles, and nobody pays attention to anything anymore, except for the newest news cycle, basically. Well, the person I want to mention here is Scott Ritter. And the reason I want to mention him is not because I'm affiliated with him in any way, shape, or form. You know, I would probably not even like the guy as a person. We would probably have major differences along various lines. And rest assured, I truly believe that this guy was railroaded in terms of his conviction in this court, you know, in the court of public opinion, in the court of both parties, and all of that. That is because he dared to mention something which was unmentionable in both parties, namely the complete idiocy of our U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. Now, you can imagine that somebody like that will be targeted by various power factions, no matter what he has to say, because it is a dangerous proposition to bring anything up outside the larger context in the larger mainstream media. Now, this Scott Ritter guy and I would probably never agree on domestic policy, on his whole, you know, whatever he thought regarding Republican economic policy or whatever, okay? But the one thing he was right about was about everything that has happened and is happening in the Middle East. And that is precisely why somebody had to shut him up. Now, in terms of conspiracy theories, you know, I won't go down that road. All I'm saying is the guy probably had some personal weaknesses. Okay? Personal weaknesses. and possibly, a sort of mindset, knowing that he was going to be set up, and so it didn't matter. Okay? Personal weaknesses can always be used against anyone. I'm not excusing his behavior, although I don't think it's really that irrational to start with, If, masturbating on the internet through Yahoo, and it's not a pedophile thing if you do it in front of in front of a 14-year-old or 17-year-old, Who's to say? I'm not going to blame. I think he was stupid enough to do it. Okay, his sexual preferences are neither here nor there. It's the same bullshit that went on with Clinton. Okay. I mean, this guy didn't seek out babies on the internet, 10-year-olds or something. But unfortunately, he wasn't smart enough to, in his whatever psychological state, to realize that, everything you do is basically going to be under surveillance on the internet, everything you do, everything. And anything you say in the open, on the internet, will be used against you. You can be assured of that. So he had a lapse of his own rationality about that, and yeah, he fell for it. Now, don't tell me that somebody just accidentally discovered this guy talking to, in a chat room on Yahoo to police agents, undercover agents, not being fully aware of his senses. Okay, he probably was very well aware of what was going on, but he was so, I don't even know how to describe this. It's probably just one of those things, you're everything that you do is going to be listened in on no matter what. I mean, for Christ's sake, the guy worked in military intelligence. Everything he does is surveilled 24/7. Anything he does. And unfortunately, he made the mistake of, going into private chat rooms and perhaps not realizing that his own desires may actually work against him, I'm not in any way excusing his behavior. All I'm saying is that this was the perfect fucking setup. You can find skeletons in anyone's closet. If anyone was to come into your home and read through your diaries, examine your entire hard drive, okay? Everything that you have on your computer. Don't you think that somebody who is politically opposed to you would find something to accuse you of? And this is at this crucial time now, this is the voice which needed to be heard in terms of any kind of aggression against Iran. No, I'm not saying the guy may be 100% right. I'm not even saying that. All I know is that he had experience on the ground as a weapons inspector. And he knows firsthand what kinds of games are played in terms of international intrigues and intelligence and all that. And he warned way back when, even against the Iraq War, he warned against this. And this, of course, is not, conducive to the powers that be. So essentially, the best way to silence somebody, to completely get them out of the picture, so to speak, is to attack their credibility overall and to single out certain aspects of their personality or shortcomings in order to make that stick. This is one of the basic propaganda efforts employed by any kind of government in order to discredit any criticism whatsoever. It is, in fact, so it's basically a common, it's so common, basically, that it's almost laughable, okay? To this day, regardless of his personal shortcomings, Scott Ritter was right about everything. He was the one very vocal critic who attacked verbally not only the Republican Party, but also the Democratic Party. But most of all, the Republicans, the traditional conservatives, whom, and I mean this has to be said, he went against the Republican establishment. He went totally against neocon policies. He laid it out how idiotic and completely detrimental such policies are. And, he basically kicked the Democrats' butts as well, because he said, they're all lying. And this is a man who's now sitting in jail while we're facing detrimental choices in this country with no obvious counter voice out there anymore, And this is a personal message to you, by the way. Mr. whoever you are, arms control negotiator, Scott Ritter. You know what your priorities were, and and I know you're gonna stand behind that, whether you're in prison or not. Okay. there are only very few people who would understand this whole process. And this, humiliation, within your own community, not just within your own community, that hurts worse, but within, you no longer have a right to speak, It's just like that guy who's sitting in jail, has been sitting in jail for years and years, and luckily you won't share that faith. I mean, I don't know. You probably won't, but people who spoke out against the establishment, and several of us understand that you've been railroaded because you have made a huge effort to reach out to progressives, okay? To the traditional, even the traditional conservative Republicans. And it was to no avail at all. At all. So this kind of tells me that, your conviction was most likely, it may not have been politically motivated at the local level, okay, but most certainly, the only reason why you're even sitting in this jail is because somebody had it out for you, because you were just simply too outspoken, And people who speak to authority they're going to be the first ones targeted, especially somebody with your knowledge and expertise, as opposed to all the hoopla out there. Once you get out of jail, we may not agree on domestic policy, all this libertarian stuff, domestic Republican bullshit. But we will agree on one thing. We will agree that both parties are completely railroading the American people, and not just the American people, but people worldwide. And that was your contribution. And so, yeah, thank you. Because I think it was very and is very important